On race day, I was excited, but I would be lying to you if I said that I wasn't nervous. I had my fears, I had my doubts. All of the training, all of the prep, all of the runs, some injury scares. I was asking myself, would I be able to do this? Would I be able to actually finish this race? Would I be able to actually run a full marathon? In 2019, I ran my first half marathon in Philadelphia. And I hit a wall at mile 11, and I had to run and walk and jog just to get across the finish line. In that moment, I thought to myself, there's no way that I could ever do a full marathon. That would be something that would be impossible. And that's what started this journey.
Day one, marathon training, 18 weeks, baby. Let's go.
Half marathon is on the schedule.
That was brutal. I would have to do that all over again, a whole nother 13.1. Doesn't necessarily seem possible. My three goals at the beginning of training were to, one, try to do something that I thought was impossible. Two, I wanted to encourage others to tackle things in their life that they thought would be impossible. Three, I wanted to raise money for Equal Justice Initiative. And throughout all of the training, these were the goals that kept me inspired every single day.
15-mile hare.
We launched the official Facebook fundraising page for the journey to 26.2. Just did 16. I'm super pumped. As Kobe Bryant would say, job's not finished. Pizza time. I ran 20 last week. Right around mile 16, my left knee just started feeling terrible. It doesn't necessarily hurt when I walk, just when I run, which is a pretty big deal for the journey to 26.2. The next friend I met this week, first name Icy, last name Hot. I'm stubborn and I'm determined to run the race. A little bit of a setback this week, time for the comeback. 2-mile run in the books. Training is done. Mindset this week is pretty simple. Kobe Bryant, he made the famous statement, job's not finished. I've done all the training, the 16, the 18, the 20-mile runs, the 18 weeks, but the job is not finished. I woke up on race day and I felt good. The weather was perfect. It was low 40s and sunny. Physically, I felt good. I felt ready. I felt excited.
When Nick started training for this marathon, I was thinking, this is a really big goal. This is a really big task. But I know Nick, and when he puts his mind to something, that he's going to do something, he always does it. So I was pretty confident that he was going to do what he needed to do to finish the race.
Kristy was in charge of our supply car, and she was going to be following me on the whole route and stopping at different checkpoints.
What was going through my mind on the morning of the race was just making sure I knew what I was doing. I had everything together, had my coffee, of course. That was very important.
When you first came up with this idea and asked me to be part of the race, I definitely was totally on board. I was excited, and it was a real honor to be part of this and to support Nick.
Thank you so much. I love it, man. I love it. It's so beast mode.
How you feel?
I'm all right. I'm a little nervous.
Yeah?
I've pooped 3 times, so.
No way.
How was the ride?
A little chilly, but I warmed up. I knew I couldn't run alongside him the whole time. Obviously, I hadn't trained at all, and that would not be possible. But if I had a bike, then I could definitely. I was like, I'm pretty sure I can ride a marathon. Then it was in terms of kind of planning the gear, camera gear, and the equipment I would use. Had any snacks or food for me that I needed during the journey, and then prepping in terms of clothes, because we would start kind of early in the morning. It's a little colder, and then things would start to warm up as we progress through the day.
The starting line was 50 yards from our apartment. This here might be the thing that gets me across the finish line.
No way. What's that?
It's got a pad right here, so it's like on my IT band. Protec, not a sponsor yet. So everything was ready to go. As 7 a.m. approached, there was really only one thing left to do. All the preparation, all the training, all the supplies were set. The only thing left to do was to run the race. The first few miles were great. It was quiet in the neighborhood. It was still so early in the morning, and it was peaceful.
Nick was in his groove. I had this idea, like I was like orbiting around him. I would start behind him, and then kind of move to the side, and then go in front of him, and then like start slowing down, and then he would pass me, and then I'd go behind him, and so like I'm constantly orbiting around him.
It was a route that I had done often in training, so I was familiar with it. I was used to it. I spent some time just praying, just focusing on the mile at hand, trying not to get too ahead of myself and think about the whole day, but just try to stay in the moment.
I think the trickiest part was finding a different variety of shots. Instead of just being behind him with the GoPro and filming him, or just being in front of him or the side of him, was really trying to be creative. Filming while riding, not really that difficult. The GoPro is an amazing piece of tech, simple tech to use, and enables some really good shots.
For the first few miles, I was gathering up my materials to make my posters, and then I got in the car and I drove to the first stop.
Each checkpoint was designed for me to stop quickly to make sure that I had enough fuel and supplies and carbohydrates and electrolytes.
You did it, babe. Look at that. Look, beautiful. Right up on the ledge. Woo! How you doing?
Good.
Once we left the first checkpoint, we went into historic Trenton, and we went all the way down Broad Street. And that is where it got a little bit louder, a lot more cars on the side of the road.
Going into Trenton was definitely just a different feel. Definitely more congested, more traffic, more hustle and bustle.
That's where I started personally to worry about Dan as he was weaving his bike in and out of traffic while also filming.
We stuck together. We made sure that keep eyes on each other, and got through that section, and then made our way to one of the world famous destinations on our journey. Here we go. So on this bridge, world famous, Trenton Makes the World Takes bridge, we weren't allowed to, I don't think I was allowed to ride a bike on the bridge, but naturally I didn't listen to that, and I was doing that.
Dan didn't have the best experience on the bridge.
Bro, I just got pooped on for you.
No! Where'd they get you?
All over, man. I got sprayed. I thought it was like some sort of like, don't ride your bike on the bridge thing. I didn't see any birds, but yet I was pooped on. And I have this theory that on the bridge, they have fake bird pooping machines that they shoot at individuals that are not following the rules and the directions of not riding the bike and walking the bike over the bridge.
Best part of the race is that sign so far, babe.
How do you feel?
Feel pretty good. How you guys doing?
Good. Great. Wonderful.
Love you.
Love you three.
After we left the second checkpoint, we jumped onto the Delaware Canal. And then we worked our way in through Morrisville. And we spent about 5 miles in Morrisville. And this was one of the most meaningful parts of the run for me because I grew up in Morrisville. I lived there for 27 years. It was a great time of the run. Dan and I were chatting. We were enjoying each other's company. I felt good physically as I was moving through the streets. And overall, this time in Morrisville was a great time. And I didn't even realize that these miles are adding up and it's ticking away, and we're getting closer and closer to the goal of the journey.
It's where it all began.
It is. Back to the beginning.
All right, so we're 11.3 miles in. Feeling pretty good. Right around a 12-minute per mile pace, which is where I want to be. Knees feeling good. Just past my house where my parents are. They had balloons and signs. It was very nice. My biggest fans. So we're about to pass my elementary school, my high school, the high school football field, and then we'll be getting close to halfway and then to the canal path. Thank you guys for coming out.
You're seriously on a bike. Okay, that I was not expecting. Have you been biking in front of him the whole time, or are you just going to random places?
The whole time. I'm with them the whole time.
See you guys soon.
Through the first 12 or 13 miles of the race, Nick seemed like he was doing great. He seemed to have energy, he was still smiling, he was excited to see everyone that stopped by to visit him on the different spots, so things were looking pretty good.
Where you at?
12:37. 12.37.
We were pretty much halfway done the race. And I don't want to say that it felt easy, but I felt good. I was smiling, Dan and I were cracking jokes, and I made the turn to get back on the canal path. And I knew from that point forward, I was going to run straight north towards Washington Crossing to finish the race.
Yeah, pretty.
Splash.
Half marathon in the books. Just one more.
Halfway point. Half marathon done in the books. I'm thinking to myself, I got this. I've already run a half marathon. Now all I have to do is run another half marathon. But this is when I started to actually feel some pain. This stretch on the canal path is long and tedious as you make your way to Yardley. Physically, I started to feel pain in my left knee. Mentally, it went from, I can do this, I've already run a half marathon, all I have to do is run another half marathon. It went from thinking that to, oh my gosh, I have to run a whole nother half marathon to finish this.
How you feeling?
All right, 14.32.
So once we got to the halfway point, it was a little bit more evident that Nick was starting to feel the pain. I remember kind of being there alongside and checking in on him, but trying to let him go through this and run through this pain and this difficulty. I knew obviously I couldn't do anything for him. I was there to support and to give him whatever he needed, but ultimately he needed to kind of face this. Thankfully he continued to push himself and kept his pace and kept going.
Thank you. This is perfect.
Almost done.
Yeah, almost there. I'm good. That's all right.
It's beautiful.
Thank you guys for coming.
Of course.
Here, I made this for you. The distance between checkpoint 4 and checkpoint 5 was shorter than some of the other distances between checkpoints, and there were a few other stops along the way.
How's it going?
It's nothing.
It's a little pump-up sesh.
I love it. I love it.
Mentally, they were really important for me to recalibrate and to kind of refocus on the task at hand.
Where are we at?
It's 16.28. Feeling it a little bit in my left knee, but moving on. Woo! I got off the canal path in Yardley. I am stretching and I'm literally just pushing down on my IT band to try to relieve some of the pressure, because at that point it was really starting to bother me. Every step that I was taking was painful, and as I went forward and began running again, it was just this moment of, this is going to be some really difficult miles ahead.
I felt like Nick was going to finish the race. I had a strong feeling that he would. My fear was that he was going to push himself so hard that he might end up injured at the end of the race because he just wouldn't stop.
I kept looking underneath the bridge for you.
Were you running on the other side? And then came over the bridge? Were you on the other side? I went up.
How you doing, Dan?
Not too bad. Feeling it in my bum a little bit, but
All right.
All right, hon.
Onward.
All right, Dan.
Thank you guys.
Thank you. Good job.
When I left the waterfall, that was when I really started to feel pain. You're all alone on the canal path. In the moments when there's pain, there's so much doubt that you feel.
how you doing?
I'm struggling.
Yeah.
1834. So less than 8. That's good news.
How you feel cardio-wise?
Cardio, I feel fine. It's my leg. One step at a time. Pain cave.
Pain cave. So around mile 18, Nick started having some discomfort in his knee.
I asked Dan if he could speed ahead to the next checkpoint and pick up some Advil and some Icy Hot and bring it back to me.
Maybe like it was at least a mile and a half, something like that. And so I was like, okay, dude, I'm going to go to the next checkpoint. I'll pick up your meds and your Icy Hot and I'll bring it back. And so I'm like under the gun. Now it's like, this is my race or my challenge. And so I start like flying down the canal path.
Oh man, just booking it. I'm hoofing it. On your left.
When Dan flies by on his bike and tells me that Nick is in pain, I was starting to get nervous because Nick's pretty stubborn, and I knew that if he was hurting or if his leg was bothering him, he was still gonna keep going forward.
So Nick was in pain, so I've hoofed it 2 miles. Hello. Hoofed it 2 miles to get the pain meds. Now I'm hoofing it back. I'm coming, Nick. I'm coming.
And I just remember just like flying down the canal path. Thankfully I was able to get those and get it to Nick.
Get yourself a friend like Dan who will speed off to get you Icy Hot and Advil.
Did you walk at all?
Nope.
Nice. And I remember, this is something I specifically remember, because I was unsure how Nick would do without me there. He pushed himself there. He could have stopped. No one was watching. I wouldn't have known. But he kept going. And he, even though he had the pain and the discomfort, he didn't stop. And I was like, okay. That was like, my level of respect for Nick went up in that moment. And I was like, okay, he's got something here. He's going for it.
Where you at?
21.62. You've probably heard it said before that running a marathon is like life. There are good times and there are tough times. And you have times in life, you have times when you're running a race when you just feel like giving up. Whether it's in running or whether it's in anything that we face in life. Ultimately, it comes down to not what happened to us, but it comes down to how are we going to respond?
With every part of your body right now.
How are we going to respond when things get tough and we feel like we can't go on anymore?
I'm gonna finish. I might be crawling, but I'm gonna finish.
I went about 2 miles north on the canal path, and then that was my turnaround point, and I started to run back towards the Washington Crossing Park. At that point in the race, I was totally by myself. I was running, and I remember feeling this energy. I was in a great running rhythm, and the pain in my left knee, I wasn't thinking about it anymore. I had almost pushed it to the side. I heard the drone overhead, and I was just alone. I was just thinking about how much I loved running, how thankful I was to be able to actually run and to be able to enjoy this day, and how grateful I was for the support that I had all day. It was a great set of miles to run, and it really helped remind me of why I loved running and why I started running in the first place.
Hey, there you are.
Yes, sir.
I heard the drone.
1 mile left or less than a mile?
0.9.
0.9. How do you feel?
I feel alright. Thanks again for being here.
Yeah, bro. Come on, Charlie Mike, finish. I don't know if this is supposed to be a surprise, but you have a 64-piece McNugget thing waiting for you at Chick-fil-A.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, courtesy of the Stumps.
Wow. Beast mode.
Yeah, that's gonna be sweet.
Speaking of nuggets, wow.
How many calories do you think you've burned?
Probably close to 4.
What's going through your head right now? What kind of emotions are you feeling?
I just want to finish. That's all I'm thinking about.
Nice.
Making that turn into Washington Crossing Park was when I first started to see the finish line area. And it was emotional. I could start to hear people cheering. I had such a sense of thankfulness for all the people that had supported me throughout the course of the day and this journey. They gave me energy. When I was struggling, when I was feeling worn out and tired, and when I was doubting if I was actually going to be able to do this, they gave me energy. They helped me get to the finish line. I was thinking about Kristy, who had been supporting me since the first day I started training 4 months before this. Thankful for Dan and him riding his bike some 30-ish miles throughout the course of the day to film and to support me in the tough times. I was so thankful for the friends and the family members, my parents who were at the finish line, and so thankful for all the folks who had supported me online and who had donated to EJI.
Did, bro. I'm proud of you, dude. Nice, dude. You got a finish line.
Oh my gosh.
That's sick.
That's awesome.
To be able to go the whole distance with him and film it and see the struggle and the pain and the difficulty, but then to also kind of walk with him through that, to see all the different places that were of importance to him. It was just hanging out with a buddy and being able to walk with them through this awesome endeavor.
I'll come back to you. You stay right there.
Let's go, Nick!
You got it, bro. Come on.
Running this marathon was something that a year prior I thought was impossible. I thought that there was no way I'd actually be able to do this.
It was so great to see him finish the race and cross the finish line.
It was really cool to see Nick put a challenge in front of him and really finishing what he set out to do.
We raised $1,700 for Equal Justice Initiative.
There were a lot of people there just to celebrate him and support him. It was great to see him accomplish this goal and do what he had set out to do, and I was really proud of him.
My hope and my prayer is that this journey inspires others. My hope and my prayer is that this journey inspires you to tackle something in your life that you think is impossible. And that's my journey to 26.2. Job's finished.